It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show. End of the year coming, I'm posted like Tim Duncan. Teaching niggas how to grow they shit like it's Teen Summit. Teaching niggas how to talk to me, I don't hear nothing. You red pill rappers about to fall from the red button. This chair comfy, need real money. Let me find out you industry niggas is Ted Bundy. Let me find out, let me wind down. Take some time out to calculate the weight I clear monthly. USD to them pounds, feet deep in the ground. Stand firm like your whole shit for $200. I'm big worm, switch the game up to help y'all score. Dave Stern try to box me in Martin. I treat him like T. Hearns. Got a baby doing 5 weeks. Made it through my juvenile hell, was bumping my deep. Homies in them 2-man cells struggle to find sleep. We ain't talking Casanat, we don't talk like barbershops. Circumvent the streams, we taking it back to mom and pop. Distribution, pick and choosing for the institution. Niggas losing, y'all can check the units. They say the internet level the playing field. I say they made you confident and racing with your training wheels. Fuck 'em rapping for if I can't pay a cable bill. Fuck 'em rapping for if I can't even say what's real. How you say you independent with a major deal? Niggas fell in love with the lies. I see how shady feel. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there. As predicted, UMG waited until pretty much the end of the day for them to put their motion to dismiss in against Drake and his lawsuit, his amended lawsuit, of course. Y'all know it was just a few weeks ago. Drake put his amended lawsuit in back in April. We are now at the deadline for UMG to issue their response. It's in. It took them nearly all the way up until after 9 o'clock to get this thing up. Of course you're seeing this. This is pre-recorded. I didn't want to drop it late at night. So if you're seeing this on Thursday, May 8th, I recorded this last night, but it's coming to y'all in the morning, okay? I ain't going to waste too much time. It's a 30-something page response. Let's get into the details. As we've been seeing throughout this entire litigation period, the whole back and forth between Drake and UMG, they both have been starting out their legal filings with quotes from one another. Drake has a quote from Lucian Grange. UMG, on the other hand, is starting theirs with a quote from Drake. This is one of Drake's early successful songs, pun intended, with a line from the song Successful that says, "Yeah, I want it all. That's why I strive for it. Diss me, you never hear a reply for it." So this is way back in the days. This is around the time. Remember, Joe Budden did an interview with Drake long ago. They were standing outside of a venue. I think Drake was going to see Joe perform, if I'm not mistaken. And he said, "Yo, what's up with that line about diss me, you'll never hear a reply for it? You know, like, you sure about that? One of these niggas is going to get you out your skin and you're going to go crazy." At that time, Drake insisted that would never happen. Funny how time changes all things. So let's get into what they're stating here. They say Drake, one of the most successful recording artists of all time, lost a rap battle against fellow artist Kendrick Lamar that Drake provoked and in which he willingly participated. Instead of accepting the loss like the unbothered rap artist he often claims to be, he sued his own record label in a meritless attempt to salve his wounds. On March 17, 2025, UMG moved to dismiss Drake's complaint. Rather than attempt to defend his original complaint, Drake filed an amended complaint in which he removed obviously false factual allegations but added multiple allegations about Lamar's live performance of a version of the song Not Like Us at the Super Bowl halftime show on February 9th, 2025. So they say, hey, instead of defend his actual complaint, he decided to change it up, take some frivolous bullshit out, and come back with even more frivolous bullshit, referring to Kendrick's performance at the Super Bowl. Drake's new allegations are astonishing. As Drake concedes, Lamar's Super Bowl performance did not include the lyric that Drake or his associates are certified PDFs, i.e., the alleged defamatory material that is the heart of this case. The focus of Drake's new claims that the largest audience for a Super Bowl halftime show ever did not hear Lamar call Drake or his crew PDFs betrays this case for what it is. Drake's attack on the commercial and creative success of the rap artist who defeated him rather than the content of Lamar's lyrics. The amended complaint is without merit and should be dismissed with prejudice. Okay? Because remember, in Drake's amended lawsuit, he came back and said how Kendrick performed an edited version of Not Like Us, removing the PDFs and other portions in the song. So they're saying, well, if he changed it, if he didn't call you a PDF on live TV in front of the largest Super Bowl halftime show audience ever, then what is your complaint really? Because you've been asking the whole time for the song to be modified, to be changed, and that people are hearing this so-called defamatory line all over the world, but he changed it on the biggest platform available. Okay, introduction. In 2024, two of the most popular recording artists in the world, Kendrick Lamar and Aubrey Drake Graham, engaged in a high-profile rap battle. Over the course of approximately 2 months, they exchanged increasingly vitriolic and incendiary diss tracks, sometimes responding within hours of each other. Drake encouraged the feud. When he felt at one point that Lamar was taking too long to respond, Drake released a recording goading Lamar to continue the rap battle. Lamar did just that, and collectively Drake and Lamar released a total of 9 tracks taking aim at each other. Okay, so they're trying to get the judge, and if this proceeds to a jury, trying to get them to understand the nature of the rap battle, the backstory, and just how active both parties were in this back and forth so that Drake can't portray himself as a victim. Not Like Us, the penultimate track in the feud, is the subject of Drake's complaint. The recording was released by Lamar through defendant UMG on May 4th, 2024, and was a massive success. The record was the best-selling rap recording of 2024 and has become a ubiquitous cultural phenomenon. Like all of the recordings in the feud, and like the many notorious diss tracks throughout rap's history, Not Like Us consists of a series of hyperbolic insults. Drake was pleased to use UMG's platform to promote tracks leveling similarly incendiary attacks at Lamar, including that Lamar engaged in domestic abuse and that one of Lamar's managers is the true father of Lamar's son. But now, after losing the rap battle, Drake claims that Not Like Us is defamatory. It is not. While the complaint focuses almost entirely on Not Like Us, it disregards the other diss tracks that surrounded Not Like Us, as well as the diss track genre, and thus critically ignores the context of the dispute. Okay, so they're going to have to give them a hip-hop history lesson low-key here so that they can understand that this is normal. This is encouraged in hip-hop, and Drake is no stranger to any of this. He's participated in multiple rap beefs, and he dropped numerous diss tracks on his opponent, Kendrick Lamar. He said that his best friend and business partner was the father of his child, the true father of his child, which turned out to be false. And other things. Accused him of being a woman beater, all of these different things. But when the rabbit got the gun, he was no longer having any fun. You know? Assessed in context as it must be, Not Like Us conveys non-actionable opinion and rhetorical hyperbole. Indeed, diss tracks are a popular and celebrated art form centered around outrageous insults, and they would be chilled if Drake's suit were permitted to proceed. Drake also alleges that Not Like Us constitutes second-degree harassment, okay? But sues under a criminal statute that has no private right of action and does not proscribe speech. Now, this is often overlooked when we talk about Drake's lawsuit, is that he filed second-degree harassment, which would otherwise be seen as a criminal charge, which has no real place in this lawsuit, I'm guessing. So they say, finally, Drake claims that UMG's promotion of Not Like Us violates New York General Business Law 349, but fails to allege any of the elements for that claim, so they don't go in enough detail about how that violates. Less than 3 years ago, Drake himself signed a public petition criticizing the trend of prosecutors using artists' creative expression against them by treating rap lyrics as literal fact. See UMG's request for judicial notice, Exhibit A, as Drake recognized when it comes to rap, the final work is a product of the artist's vision and imagination. Drake was right then and is wrong now. The claims against UMG are no more than Drake's attempt to save face for his unsuccessful rap battle with Lamar. The court should dismiss the amended complaint with prejudice. No more than Drake's attempt to save face for his unsuccessful rap battle. Liquid swords coming at your motherfucking head. What you gonna do when the MCs came to live out the name and to be born? Some had the snuck cocaine to act insane. Before he rocked it on, now onto the mental plane. The spark your brain for the building to be born. Yo, Rissa, put the nigga. Liquid swords at your motherfucking ass. Heads is all choppable. Statement of facts. The parties. Defendant UMG is a global music company. UMG represents artists through inter alia recording, distribution, publishing, and third-party licensing agreements, and helps maximize their commercial success through its world-class marketing and global distribution network. Drake is an internationally known rap artist. Drake signed with UMG through UMG's Republic division in 2009 and extended his contract in 2022. Of course, that is the historical contract that he received. That 400 millis, allegedly. Drake's partnership with UMG has been hugely successful. He is one of the best-selling music artists of all time, with over 170 million albums sold. UMG also represents Lamar through UMG's Interscope division. Lamar is also a highly successful rap artist. Drake and Lamar engage in a vitriolic rap feud. Not Like Us was released as part of a rap beef between Drake and Lamar. The artist feud reportedly traces its origins back more than a decade, which is also very important because they've been throwing jabs back at each other for over 10 years. Real fans know. But broke into the public domain in early 2024 when niggas caught direct flights. When Drake and Lamar began trading diss tracks sometimes within the same hour. Drake and Lamar's feud is not unique. Rap feuds have existed pretty much since the beginning of rap in the 1970s, and several storied feuds have occurred throughout rap history, none ending in a lawsuit. Drake is a prolific rap feud combatant, having traded diss tracks with artists including Meek Mill and Pusha T. The public feud between Drake and Lamar traces back to the October 2023 track First Person Shooter by Drake and J. Cole, damn Cole, in which J. Cole rapped that he, Drake, and Lamar were the big three, i.e. the top rappers in the industry. In response, Lamar appeared on the March 2024 track Like That, with artists Future and Metro Boomin, in which he rejected the notion that Drake and J. Cole were his equals, rapping, motherfuck the big three, nigga, it's just big me, nigga, boom! The fact that the explicatives aren't even edited in this motion to dismiss are quite beautiful. But they did on nigga. Ain't that some shit? Drake responded in April 2024 with the track Push-Ups distributed by UMG. Exhibit H. The track takes aim at Lamar, insulting inter alia his height. How the fuck you big stepping with a size 7 men's on, which is really about his shoe size rather than his height. But here we have the other, Pipsqueak Pipe Down, which was aimed at his height and his career. Your last one, Brick, you really not on shit. He also stoked the feud, stating, and that fucking song y'all got did not start the beef with us. This shit being brewing in the pot, now I'm heating up. I don't care what Cole think, that shit was we get fucked. Ain't that what he said? Then seemingly, Impatient with the time it was taking Lamar to respond, Drake released tailor-made freestyle on Instagram. The track uses artificial intelligence to make it sound as if the voice of deceased rap icon Tupac Shakur is rapping Drake's lyrics. In Tupac's voice, Drake taunts Lamar and notably urges Lamar to talk about him liking young girls on his next track. Kendrick, we need ya, the West Coast savior. Engraving your name in some hip-hop history. If you deal with this viciously, you seem a little nervous about all the publicity. Fuck this Canadian light-skinned dot. We need a no-debated West Coast victory, man. Call him a bitch for me. Talk about him liking young girls. That's a gift from me. Heard it on the Button podcast. It gotta be true. And in his own voice, Drake goads Lamar to release a new diss track. Since like that, your tone changed a little. You're not as enthused. How you not in the booth? It feel like you kind of removed. You trying to let this shit die down? Nah, not this time, nigga. You following through. I guess you need another week to figure out how to improve. What the fuck is taking so long? We waiting on you. Lamar responded with 2 tracks, Euphoria, released by UMG on April 30th, followed by 616 in LA, released by Lamar on Instagram on May 3rd. Lamar raps of Drake and Euphoria, a pathetic master manipulator. I can smell the tails on you now. You're not a rap artist, you're a scam artist with the hopes of being accepted. He criticizes Drake's music. I make music that electrify him. You make music that pacify him. And attacks his use of Tupac's voice. A Canadian nigga make pop turn in his grave. His parenting. I got a son to raise, but I can see you don't know nothing about that. And his character and identity. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you sneak this. If I catch flight, it's going to be direct. How many more fairy tale stories about your life till you had enough? How many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough? Lamar's insults continue in 616 in LA, where he raps that members of Drake's team are disloyal. Have you ever thought that OVO is working for me? Fake bully, I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it. Drake responded on the evening of May 3rd with the track Family Matters, distributed by UMG. The track is a scathing attack on Lamar, laden with hyperbolic slurs. Drake attacks Lamar's authenticity. You just acting like an activist, it's make-believe. Mocks his height. He always said I overlooked him, I was staring straight. These bars go over Kenny head no matter what I say. States that Lamar cheats on his fiance. Why did you move to New York? Is it because you live in that bachelor life, proposed in 2015, but don't want to make her your actual wife? I'm guessing this wedding ain't happening, right? Because we know the girls that you actually like. Your darkest secrets are coming to light. And asserts that one of Lamar's children was fathered by one of his managers, Dave Free. Your baby mama captions always screaming, save me. You did a dirty all your life. You trying to make peace. I heard that one of them little kids might be Dave Free. Don't make it Dave Freeze, because if your GM is your BM secret BD, then this is all making plenty fucking sense to me. Drake also raps that Lamar abuses his fiance, stating, when you put your hands on your girl, is it self-defense because she bigger than you? And they hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen. Get it? The track makes other allusions to violence. Oh, this is where we get to get it. Drake opens that he's emptied the clip of a friendly... I'm out of fucked up. I did so well so far. Emptied the clip of a friendlier jabs. Asks, which one of my so-called niggas need a share from the clip? And I wish y'all would have put, always knew I'd have to smoke y'all niggas. He says, come get this ass whooping, I'm handing them out. The track closes with Drake stating, you there? You there? There's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to hide. Gunshots sound at various points. Lamar responded with 2 back-to-back tracks, Meet the Grrrls, followed by Not Like Us. In Meet the Grrrls, Lamar directs his insults to Drake and members of his family. Not Like Us was released on May 4th. Like the diss tracks before it, Not Like Us consists of hyperbolic insults. Example A, Lamar calls Drake names. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? And it was God's plan to show y'all the liar. mocks Drake's brand. What OVO for? The other vaginal option? Pussy. And what is the owl? Bird niggas and bird bitches. Go. Makes hyperbolic threats of violence. You think the Bay gonna let you disrespect Pac, nigga? I think that Oakland show gonna be your last stop, nigga. Attacks Drake's relationships, including alleging that Drake had relations with rapper Lil Wayne's girlfriend. Fucked on Wayne girl when he was in jail. That's conniving. And calls him a fucking colonizer. Inferring Drake exploits other artists for financial benefit. Taking up Drake's invitation in tailor-made freestyle to talk about Drake liking young girls, Lamar also makes various statements referred to in the complaint, including, "Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to Cell Block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. And why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired trying to strike a chord? And it's probably A minor." He also raps, "And Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified level boys, certified fouls." And states, "And your homeboy needs subpoena. That predator moving flocks. That name got to be registered and placed on neighborhood watch." Drake responded the following day with The Heart Part 6. There, Drake doubles down on his statement that one of Lamar's children was fathered by Mr. Free. And why isn't Whitney denying all of the allegations? Why is she following Dave Free? And like if Dave really fucked your girl and got her pregnant, talk about breeding resentment. And reiterates his claim of domestic abuse. "I don't want to fight with a woman beater. It feeds your nature." Drake states that he expected the alleged defamatory statements in Not Like Us. "This Epstein angle was the shit I expected. TikTok videos you collected and dissected." And denies them. "Only fucking with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I never looked twice at no teenager." The track also contains further references to violence, including, "I slit your throat with the razor. And yeah, bullets that I'm stuffing in each chamber, your ass in extreme danger." Baca refers to OVO member Baca Not Nice, who was arrested in 2014 on human trafficking and assault charges and convicted of assault in 2015 against his girlfriend for burning French fries on the stove. Not Like Us is a massive commercial and artistic success. Lamar is widely perceived to have won the rap feud. Exhibit B. Ultimately, I do think Kendrick did come out on the superior end of that quarrel. We can say Kendrick has won. Not Like Us has been a massive commercial and artistic success. It was the best-selling rap song of 2024, and Rolling Stone deemed it the biggest moment in music this year. The song, recording, and video of Not Like Us were collectively nominated for 5 Grammy Awards as voted on by over 13,000 music industry peers, including Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Rap Performance, Best Rap Song, and Best Music Video, and won in all 5 categories. That's what we call a sweep. Lamar performed a live version of Not Like Us at the February 9th, 2025 Super Bowl halftime show to a record audience. Now here we get into argument, legal standard. A complaint must plead enough facts to state a claim to relief that is plausible on its face. Okay? The court can credit only well-pleaded, non-conclusory factual allegations. In certain circumstances, the court may permissibly consider documents other than the complaint in ruling on a motion under Rule 12b-6. Okay? Including documents incorporated into the complaint by reference in matters of which a court may take judicial notice, including the fact that press coverage contains certain information. Okay? In particular, courts will take judicial notice of documents that provide necessary context for a defamation claim. There's particular value in resolving defamation claims at the pleading stage so as not to protract litigation through discovery and trial and thereby chill the exercise of constitutionally protected freedoms. Okay, in defamation cases, Rule 12b-6 not only protects against the cost of meritless litigation, but provides assurance to those exercising their First Amendment rights that doing so will not needlessly become prohibitively expensive. Okay, and once again, UMG has been leaning strongly on the First Amendment to show that this is an exercise of free speech, okay, and opinion over facts, because this was a rap battle. They were trading inflammatory statements at each other. Drake fails to state a claim for defamation, and of course, this is based on legal precedent. Drake, who had no concerns using UMG's platform to publish slurs about Lamar during their rap feud, now claims Not Like Us is defamatory. These allegations, directly aimed at chilling legitimate artistic expression safeguarded by the First Amendment and New York law, are meritless. Drake fails to state a claim for defamation because Not Like Us conveys non-actionable opinion and rhetorical hyperbole, not fact, and because he does not adequately plead that UMG acted with actual malice. The alleged defamatory material is non-actionable opinion and hyperbole. To be defamatory, a publication must convey fact, not opinion or rhetorical hyperbole. Expressions of opinion, as opposed to assertions of fact, are deemed privileged and, no matter how offensive, cannot be the subject of an action for defamation. Whether a statement conveys fact or opinion is a question of law for the court. The burden rests with the plaintiff to establish that in the context of the entire communication, a disputed statement is not protected opinion. The concept of opinion has come to mean more than it does outside the libel law context. To distinguish assertions of facts from non-actionable opinion, courts analyze 1. Whether the specific language in issue has a precise meaning which is readily understood. 2. Whether the statements are capable of being proven true or false. And 3. Whether either the full context of the communication in which the statement appears or the broader social context and surrounding circumstances are such as to signal readers or listeners that what is being read or heard is likely to be opinion, not fact. At its crux, the question for the court to resolve as a matter of law is what an objective, reasonable person hearing the statement would take it to mean. Very similar to Kendrick Lamar's deposition that he's been playing at his tour. Of course, it's a fictional deposition, but remember, they're asking him, what do you mean by Watch the Party Die? He said, I mean, it's a good song. He says, what else you mean? He said, take it how you want it, or take it whatever. You know what I mean? But of course, he's not saying it's a fact. He's just saying, hey, what do you take it to mean? Leaving it up to the audience. And this assessment context is key. The Court of Appeals of New York has consistently focused its analysis on the overall context in which the complaint of assertions were made. This includes, what's this? Y'all niggas got on my head last time with the footnotes and shit. Words at issue must be construed in the context of the entire statement or publication as a whole and tested against the understanding of the average reader. So you can't just piecemeal it together. You got to really show what's going on. This includes both the immediate context in which the disputed words appear, as well as the larger context in which the statements were published, including the nature of the particular forum. Courts must also look into tone, purpose, and setting, which the setting, tone, and purpose will all come back to a rap battle, a staged feud. And when I say staged feud, I don't mean staged as in fake. I just mean staged as in they did it on the world stage as public spectacle. A statement's tone and apparent purpose may signal that it is not conveying an accurate factual statement offered by a disinterested observer. For example, a statement may indicate non-actionable opinion where it reflects a degree of anger and resentment, where the tenor is rambling, heated, or speculative, or often escalates into the hyperbolic, or where it invokes parody, loose, or figurative language, all protected in rap music because you go through a various amount of different emotions, tone changes, etc. in a song. Likewise, the broader context informs whether a statement is reasonably understood to convey factual assertions. Even apparent statements of fact may assume the character of statements of opinion when made in public debate, heated labor, dispute, or circumstances in which an audience may anticipate the use of epithets, an audience, fiery rhetoric, or hyperbole. The common expectation of a letter to the editor is that not that it will serve as a vehicle for the rigorous and comprehensive presentation of factual matter, but as one principally for the expression of individual opinion. Statements by shock talk hosts are non-actionable because they would not have been taken by reasonable listeners as factual pronouncements simply as the expression of views in the crude and hyperbolic manner that has over the years become their verbal stock in trade. So they make reference to shock jocks on radio who say things to trigger the audience and say, hey, they say things that are not true on purpose, and that's their purpose within the marketplace. And they liken that to what's being said in Not Like Us, and also Drake's diss records. New York courts routinely hold that tone and context render allegedly defamatory publications non-actionable. Okay? Allegations plaintiff was involved in a conspiracy. So this is the legal reference here. Allegations plaintiff was involved in a conspiracy non-actionable because they were published in op-ed pages, open editorial, where there is a common expectation that articles will contain considerable hyperbole, speculation, diversified forms of expression and opinion, and the predominant tone of the article, which was rife with rumor, speculation, and seemingly tenuous inferences, furnished clues to the reasonable reader that the article was something less than serious, objective reportage. The recent case of Rappaport versus Barstool Sports is instructive. There, actor Michael Rappaport alleged that statements by Barstool Sports accusing him inter alia of having the herp derp and abusing his ex-girlfriend, including several statements in a 6-minute diss track in which defendants rapped on a constant stream of insults and slurs about Rappaport against a backdrop of unflattering video clips and images, were defamatory. The district court rejected the claim as a matter of law. You know, I never even knew about this whole Michael Rappaport versus Barstool Sports thing, but I definitely didn't know that they dissed his ass for 6 minutes with a backdrop of unflattering clips and images. Sounds like Drake. We're back to back. And that's the interesting thing here is like with UMG submitting this as their motion to dismiss and kind of going over the legal way of identifying what is and what is not defamation, it's also protecting Drake, which is the funny thing, because let's say Drake does win this. That now creates a case for Pusha T, which he would never do, Meek Mill, which he would probably never do, to come back and file defamation lawsuits against him for dissing them and talking about their lives. Right? UMG, on the other hand, is trying to protect the sanctity of rap lyrics, not to say that they really give a fuck about hip hop at its core, but in the context of the situation we're in, they're protecting the sanctity of the art form. And that's the thing that the Drake fans don't seem to understand. They think, oh yeah, take him down. They conspired against him. It's like, okay, but y'all not really hip hop fans. Y'all not going to be here after Homeboy is gone. And I mean that in terms of his presence in the industry. The statements were largely laden with epithets, vulgarities, hyperbole, and non-literal language and imagery, delivered in the midst of a public and very acrimonious dispute between the Barstool defendants and Rappaport that would have been obvious to even the most casual observer, and published on social media, blogs, and sports talk radio, which are all platforms where audiences reasonably anticipate hearing opinionated statements. The Second Circuit affirmed Rappaport, holding that we'll get past that. The district court appropriately considered that the statements at issue were made in the context of a hostile, vulgar, and hyperbolic feud, in which the use of epithets, vulgarities, and hyperbole function as a strong indicator to the reasonable reader that the statement is not expressing or implying any facts. These conclusions apply equally here. Considered in context as is required, Not Like Us conveys hyperbole and opinion, not facts. Looking first to its tone, the 4.5-minute rap diss track consists of epithets, fiery rhetoric, and hyperbole. The track is rife with rumor and speculation and reflects a considerable degree of anger and resentment. The lyrics are loose and figurative, rambling and heated. and exaggerated vitriolic words pervade the recording to attack all aspects of Drake's life, including his career, brand, relationships, and character. And to be clear, Kendrick very cleverly wrote this song by saying, I heard you like I'm young, right? That means it's a rumor. It's a rumor that I heard. I'm not saying that I know this to be fact, right? Certified P files in the plural, or aiming in your direction but not directly aimed at you. Very cleverly written. Exaggerated imagery in the music video reinforces that Not Like Us is not intended to reflect factual analysis. The video opens with Lamar whispering to a clown that he sees dead people, a nod to the film The Sixth Sense, implying hyperbolically that Drake has been defeated in the rap battle. The video also shows Lamar beating on an owl pinata with the disclaimer, no OV hoes were harmed during the making of this video. This imagery reinforces the non-factual nature of Not Like Us. No reasonable listener would require a disclaimer that the piñata is not literally Drake and his crew. The imagery is satirical, figurative, and vitriolic, signaling to the audience that the video does not convey sober, factual analysis. Another clever, witty way of not only making fun of the situation, hitting the piñata, but also making sure to put a disclaimer there to make sure you understand we're not really conveying that this is Drake. No OV hoes were injured. It's all in good fun. Likewise, the cover image of Drake's Toronto house is obviously doctored, further underscoring the non-factual nature of Not Like Us. Again, no reasonable viewer will believe that the image of Drake's mansion with 13 SO markers is real. The image is hyperbolic and exaggerated, conveying opinion, not fact. The broader context reinforces that Not Like Us is not actionable. The alleged defamatory content was published in connection with a rap diss track, hardly a forum that a reasonable person would expect to convey rigorous factual content. And let me double back to the Not Like Us cover with Drake's house. Sir, your address was known on the internet for years. People have been visiting your house as a memorial in Toronto for years. At some point, people were going to do some weird shit. I think this wasn't the first time that folks tried to bust up in your spot. Crazed fans. But that's the life that you chose. You wanted to make your shit public. So making it seem like Kendrick leaked your address and put a target on y'all and all this stuff. Come on, man. Now let me continue. The alleged defamatory content was published in connection with a rap diss track, hardly a forum that a reasonable person would expect to convey rigorous factual content. Facts. And Not Like Us was Lamar's culminating track and one of the nastiest lyrical warfare rap feuds in recent history. Exhibit B, it followed the release of 7 preceding tracks in which Drake and Lamar hurled increasingly vitriolic allegations, including Drake's slurs that Lamar's son was fathered by someone else and that Lamar physically abuses his fiancée. If ever there was a circumstance for the audience to anticipate the use of epithets, fiery rhetoric, or hyperbole, at 556, this is it. If statements in a letter to the editor are non-actionable because the common expectation is such letters do not serve as a vehicle for the rigorous and comprehensive presentation of factual matter, if statements in an op-ed are non-actionable because the expectation is op-eds contain considerable hyperbole, speculation, and diversified forms of expression and opinion, and if statements at a public hearing are non-actionable because attendees expect to hear vigorous expression of personal opinion at such events, it defies reason to suggest that statements made in a rap diss track convey anything but non-actionable opinion rather than an accurate factual assessment offered by a disinterested observer. And let's be motherfucking clear, if UMG also wanted to take it a step further, let's say if the judge, which I do believe the judge will ultimately not dismiss this, if this thing does in fact go to trial, I'm sure some level of URL smack battles would probably come up to show the fiery emotion and epithets and figurative language that goes into rap battling in hip hop, right? To show these people assassinate each other's character, talk about all of the different ways that they're going to assassinate each other violently. And then they end the rap battle, shake hands, in some cases even smack each other's butts like sportsmen, not to be on no, you know, other thing. But that's what they be doing. And then they hang out afterwards and get drinks and eat at fucking Waffle House. Anyway, let's continue. In a strained attempt to justify his claim, Drake points to a selection of cherry-picked, anonymous online comments, which, who gives a fuck what the comments are saying, but, I guess he's trying to address the audience for people that may be convinced, which he says is evidence that the average listener or viewer has understood, not like us, to reflect factual assertions about Drake rather than art or hyperbole. I find it very interesting that he would even assert that these are factual when your whole argument is that they aren't. It only makes it look like it could be fire where the smoke is coming from. But I'll continue. This argument is easily dismissed. As discussed, Super at 1011, the assessment of whether an impugned statement is non-actionable opinion is a question of law for the court based on an objective, reasonable, or average person standard. The subjective opinions of a handful of people do not factor in, particularly whereas here they are found in anonymous online comments, which are notoriously unreliable. They give case law reference to show that. Anonymous online comments are inherently unreliable. The comments cited in Drake's complaint make this point. They are rife with grammatical errors, slang, and emojis, and authored by sources such as Wrestling Warrior 15, Meow Meow 1234 Meow, and I'm Chicken Little. Just to show how ridiculous his claims are and his references, let's just look at their names. Notably, Rappaport unsuccessfully advanced the same argument on appeal. He argued that the district court incorrectly overlooked evidence that Barstool's audience interpreted the alleged defamatory statements as true on the basis that Rappaport's podcast received thousands of negative statements in the aftermath of Barstool's campaign, including comments repeating and expanding on the challenged statements. The Second Circuit denied the argument out of hand. After holding that the publication at issue constituted non-actionable opinion, the court concluded that it had considered Rappaport's remaining arguments and found them to be without merit. Drake also claims that the lyrics are not like us, imply that they are based on additional facts not disclosed to the listener. This too fails as a matter of law. New York courts apply the objective reasonable person standard to assess whether a statement implies undisclosed facts, making it a mixed opinion. The court's essential task is to decide whether the words complained of, considered in the context of the entire communication and the circumstances in which they were spoken or written, may be reasonably understood as implying the assertion of undisclosed facts justifying the opinion. See also Cooper versus Templeton. Whether a statement constitutes a pure opinion or a mixed opinion is a question of law for the court that is answered by considering, in the context of the entire communication and the circumstances in which they were spoken or written, whether the average listener would reasonably understand the opinion as implying the assertion of undisclosed facts justifying the opposition. Drake points to two lyrics to support his argument that Not Like Us leaves an unmistakable impression that is based on undisclosed facts. Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young, and rabbit hole is still deep. I can go further, I promise. These statements cannot be reasonably understood as conveying undisclosed facts. But if you must, deposition Kendrick. See what he knows. Let's see what the rabbit hole entails, shall we? Let him tell us more of what he knows. You sure you want to go there? Drake's claim as to the first lyric is particularly stunning, as noted above. Drake himself goaded Lamar to talk about Drake liking young girls. That Lamar then did so does not convey anything other than that Lamar accepted Drake's invitation. In all events, the statements are too vague to support the weight that Drake gives them, as they have no precise meaning which is readily understood. He's speaking very ambiguously. More fundamentally, for the reasons of tone and context already discussed, these rhetorical statements fail to imply any factual basis for the lyrics in Not Like Us. The decision in Lanasa versus Estien or Stein is illustrative. There, the court held that although two statements may cross the line into becoming potentially actionable mixed opinions, they did not imply undisclosed facts where they could be reasonably understood as part of a tasteless effort to lampoon because they were made in circumstances where an audience may anticipate the use of epithets, fiery rhetoric, or hyperbole. Moreover, the broader context shows that both Lamar and Drake traded these sorts of jabs. For example, Drake in Family Matters claimed with respect to his own unfounded allegations that your darkest secrets are coming to light. He makes similar assertions in the Heart Part 6 rapping, what about the bones we dug up in that excavation? For all these reasons, a reasonable person would not interpret these lyrics as conveying undisclosed facts, but would understand them for what they are, saber rattling in a rap battle. Drake's argument also fails because the statements in Not Like Us relate to controversies. Whoa, before I get there. Indeed, to the extent rabbit hole has any understood meaning, it does not imply undisclosed facts, but rather pursuing a known piece of information. Alice followed the rabbit down the hole to Wonderland, and in that sense implies Lamar is referring to well-known rumors regarding Drake's relationship with minors. Holy fuck. Sir, you might want to listen. You've been listening to 50, right? You might want to turn on Back Down and do just that. Okay, play the instrumental and back down. If they start going down the rabbit hole themselves, which they already started posting articles about you when they wanted to stay discovery, you want to play with that fire? See also Woodbridge Structured Funding LLC versus Piss Consumer. Although some of the statements are based on undisclosed unfavorable facts known to the writer, the disgruntled tone, anonymous posting, and predominant use of statements that cannot be definitively proven true or false supports the finding that the challenged statements are only susceptible of a non-defamatory meaning, grounded in opinion. Drake also alleges that statements in Lamar's Euphoria, including "Don't tell no lie about me and I won't tell truths about you," and "I know some shit about niggas that make Gunna wanna look like a saint," imply that Not Like Us is based on undisclosed facts. For the same reasons discussed above, this argument fails both in light of the rhetorical hyperbole of the artist's rap battle and because there is no connection drawn between these lyrics and the statements in Not Like Us. Okay? We'll get back to the original statement here without the extra points there. Widely known, and that Drake himself acknowledged and perpetuated, because impugned statements by talk show hosts were based on facts that were widely reported by Western New York media outlets and were known to his listeners. It cannot be said that his statements were based on undisclosed facts. Dismissing defamation claim based on defendant's statement that plaintiff was sick PDF loser. Statement arose out of war of words that was the subject of extensive media coverage and commentary, such that it was impossible that an informed listener would think it was based on some undisclosed information known only to defendants. So now they're saying because people have already been talking about your questionable nature with minors, it's not undisclosed information. He's just going off of what he perhaps heard. Here we are. Facts and criticism concerning Drake's relationships with minors predate Not Like Us and have been widely reported. Oh boy. Exhibit B noting that Lamar is indicting Drake for years of rumors and speculations around his misbehavior around minors, and that Millie Bobby Brown is one of the things that most people are aware of when it comes to Drake and the rumors around him, so much so that she has actually spoken out against it to say, hey, leave me alone. We were just friends. Right? So it was public enough to become a nuisance to Millie Bobby Brown before Kendrick even had a rap beef, a public rap beef, not with subliminals, but a real back and forth with Drake. In the Heart Part 6, Drake also affirmed that he understood Lamar's statements in Not Like Us to refer to the Millie Bobby Brown controversy because Kendrick never name dropped her, stating this Epstein shit was the shit I expected, right? What do we have here in these footnotes? See also Galasso versus Saltzman, no undisclosed facts where listeners were familiar with the issues in dispute. No undisclosed facts where incident at issue was widely circulated. See also Exhibit P. We all know the stories of him going to girls' basketball games. Oh, not the Sierra Canyon shit. There are some things that we've seen and heard over the years. It's kind of wild that this has been in the atmosphere for some time, but no one has previously called out Drake in this way. Excuse me. When Millie Bobby Brown was 13, she met Drake at a concert. He was 30 or 31 at the time. She said they would text a lot in interviews and they maintained this friendship where he would give her advice about boys, stuff like that. This was spoken about in interviews. Exhibit J at 3, allegations of Drake having inappropriate sexual relationships with minors is a topic Drake has had to debunk in the past. Not Like Us reflects these rumors surrounding Drake's personal life. Now back to his lyrics. This Epstein angle was the shit I expected and only fucking with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I'd never look twice at no teenager. Exhibit O. Clearly Drake himself understands that Lamar's lyrics refer to well-known issues that have been widely reported. Drake's arguments concerning undisclosed facts carry no weight. You thought you was the one rapping and singing, they letting that motherfucking chopper sing at you, sir. Reconsider, read some literature on the subject, you sure? Say fuck it. Drake cannot allege that UMG acted with actual malice. Drake's claim should also be dismissed for failure to plead actual malice. A public figure can prevail on a defamation claim only where clear and convincing evidence proves that a defamatory statement was published with actual malice, that is, with deliberate or reckless falsification. The element of actual malice focuses primarily on what a defendant knew or believed at the time a purportedly false statement was made. Because UMG is a corporation, Drake must also plead specific allegations that individuals at UMG acted with actual malice at the time they participated in the publication of the statement in question. Drake does not and cannot plead that any specific person acted with actual malice. His defamation claim fails for this reason as well. Courts also recognize that the malice inquiry must focus on what the publisher intended to convey. Okay, where the speaker intends his statements as outrageous parodies or caricatures, there may be no consciousness that the speaker is publishing something false because the speaker does not think he is publishing a statement of fact and therefore lacks subjective knowledge or recklessness as to the falsification of a statement of fact required to show actual malice. They then go to World Championship Wrestling. So too here, UMG released a rap track. This rap track, conveying rhetoric and insults. Drake has not alleged that anyone at UMG intended to convey anything other than what this was, an incendiary diss track. So no one at UMG came out and supported this to say, this is facts, this man is a monster, right? They didn't come out and put no extra sauce on it. So where's the actual malice? Drake fails to state a claim for second-degree harassment. Drake asserts a claim for harassment in the second degree under New York Penal Law 240-26-3, claiming that Lamar issued a call to target Drake, including through violence, and that Not Like Us amounts to incitement. This claim fails for multiple reasons. First, there is no private right of action. Where a penal statute does not expressly confer a private right of action on individuals pursuing civil relief, recovery under such a statute may be had only if a private right of action may be fairly implied. This requires considering whether creation of such a right would be consistent with the legislative scheme, which is not the case when there are alternative enforcement mechanisms. Section 240-26 does not satisfy this test because nothing distinguishes it from every other criminal statute that lacks a private right of action. Rarely is there a private right of action under a criminal statute. Indeed, the fact that second-degree harassment is included in the penal law, giving police officers the ability to enforce its provisions, means that a private right of action is inconsistent with the legislative scheme. Courts, therefore, routinely hold that 240-26 does not create a private right of action. Drake's harassment claim fails for other reasons. The statute requires that UMG act with intent to harass, annoy, or alarm Drake. New York Penal Law 242.6. But at most, Drake merely asserts an intent to devalue Drake's music and brand in order to gain leverage in negotiations. And even this allegation makes no sense. Drake does not explain how a contract with Drake would be more profitable for UMG if Drake was devalued. UMG's revenues would decrease. Indeed, Drake contradictorily alleges that UMG had the opposite incentive with respect to re-signing Lamar. Right? So they're saying, why would we devalue you in the market deliberately just to bring you back to the label and allow our profits based on your brand to decrease? We want to make the most money possible. We would want to uphold you to the utmost if we had our choice. But you decided to get in a rap battle where y'all was in a mudslinging contest. What were we supposed to do with it? Of course, Drake would say, you were supposed to let me diss his ass, and you were supposed to not allow him to diss me. Furthermore, 242.6.3's prohibition on a harassing course of conduct does not proscribe pure speech, which is what is at issue here. Okay. Drake's claim also cannot meet the constitutional test for incitement, which requires that the speech at issue be both intended to produce and likely to produce imminent disorder. Sort of like when Flop 5 dares Kendrick Lamar to come to Canada without security, that things would happen to him. Perhaps when you see somebody like a DJ that don't spin, who says Nipsey Hussle was killed for calling somebody a snitch, what do you think should happen to Kendrick Lamar for calling Drake a PDF? I think that's a little bit more like, or a lot more like, incitement to produce a result than anything that came from this rap battle. But I will continue. And while Drake attempts to contort violent metaphors in the lyrics into incitement, hyperbolic and metaphorical language is par for the course in diss tracks. Indeed, Drake's own diss tracks employed imagery far more violent with such lyrics as, you're dead, there's nowhere to hide, I'll slit your throat. Now let's look at this footnote here. They say, while Drake has cited a handful of decisions that have recognized a private cause of action, see ECF number 29 at 3, those decisions generally include no analysis and support and reflect at best a minority view. Okay, we'll keep going. All right, so let's get to the next piece. Finally, Drake fails to allege that UMG acted with no legitimate purpose. That is a quote from his amended complaint. In publishing and promoting Not Like Us, NY Penal Law 240.263, the phrase no legitimate purpose means the absence of a reason or justification to engage someone other than to hound, frighten, intimidate, or threaten. People vs. Stewart. Here, Drake expressly alleges that UMG's motives with respect to Not Like Us were financial. So to say that we engaged this for no good reason when we just allowed the song to be released for financial gain, bitch, what is you saying? Drake fails to state a claim under New York general business law. Immediately after the release of Not Like Us, Drake started making baseless accusations that Lamar was using surreptitious means, such as fake streams, to make the song appear more popular than it was. Now, Drake has attempted to shoehorn his grievance into a New York general business law claim against UMG. Drake claims UMG made materially false and misleading representations about the recording's popularity to consumers without disclosing that it was covertly financially incentivizing third parties to play, stream, and promote the recording, including paying others to use bots to stream the recording. Drake cannot satisfy the elements of a GBL 349 claim. First, Drake fails to plausibly allege a covert scheme. All of his allegations are on information and belief, meaning that you have no details of what you're saying. Everything is off information and belief. But where's the information? All it seems to me is you have his beliefs. Okay? So they say here, courts have rejected far stronger claims that speech was likely to produce imminent lawless action. If we catch any of you going in them racist stores, we're going to break your damn neck, was protected speech, even though subsequently shots were fired into the home of boycott violators. Okay, so this was an NAACP trial where this quote was protected in court. To state a 349 claim, a plaintiff must allege the defendant's conduct was consumer-oriented, the defendant's act or practice was deceptive or misleading in a material way, and 3, the plaintiff suffered an injury as a result of the deception. Plaintiff must also allege the deception resulted in a transaction in which the consumer was harmed that occurred in New York. Interesting. Drake has also received information, quote unquote, that UMG engaged in a classic pay-for-play scheme by paying to increase the airplay of the recording on the radio. But such allegations must be accompanied by a statement of the facts upon which the belief is founded and cannot rest on pure conjecture and speculation. This is true especially with regard to consumer fraud claims such as those under GBL 349, after withdrawing his prior false allegations that UMG was accused on a podcast of paying to use bots to stream Not Like Us. Drake is now reduced to citing a different podcast host, Joe Biden. It's gotta be Drew, who claimed that Kendrick used bots so that a Drake record would have more dislikes than likes. He also relies on a now deleted anonymous X comment accusing Lamar of buying promo to clown Drake's lawsuit, not to promote Not Like Us, as well as another post claiming that UMG and Lamar used a bot streamer. Not buying promo to clown Drake's lawsuit, the lawsuit itself is clown work. Courts reject such online comment-based pleading because online comments utterly fail to make plausible the underlying factual claims. Thus, these comments cannot save Drake's information and belief allegations. Drake's remaining allegations are even more speculative, such as 2 X posts from July 2024 showing Not Like Us being recommended to Spotify users who search for rap artists. Drake also fails to plausibly allege that UMG had actual knowledge of any conduct or accusations concerning Lamar. Plaintiffs do not sufficiently allege actual knowledge despite alleged knowledge of the 3 online comments. This is a case reference there. Moreover, Drake cannot allege that any representations about the recording's popularity to consumers were actually deceptive or misleading in a material way. Drake does not and cannot allege that Not Like Us would not have been an immense success had it not been for the alleged financial incentives at issue. That is, there are no alleged false or deceptive statements, even assuming that these payments occurred, nor does Drake allege that knowledge of these alleged covert payments would be material to consumers. After all, there is no obligation under GBL 349 to provide whatever information a consumer might like to know. Second, Drake's injury theory is that 1, each time the recording was artificially streamed, Drake's songs received a disproportionate share from the pool of royalties collected based on the streaming data, and 2, every time the recording was played on the radio, Drake lost the opportunity for one of his songs to be played, which is pure idiocy. I don't even understand who let him put that in there. But such far-fetched claims are not cognizable. The proposition that a Drake song would necessarily have been played instead of Not Like Us is pure speculation. Nor does Drake allege how either claimed injury was caused by a failure to disclose the alleged financial incentives, that is, how they were a result of the deception. And in any event, Drake's GBL 349 claim fails because he only alleges injuries that are indirect, i.e., injuries purely contingent on harm to third parties. Drake's claim also fails because he merely alleges consumers stream Not Like Us and listen to it on the radio, only the latter of which purportedly partially occurred in New York. Those are not transactions, much less transactions that cause cognizable harm to consumers in New York. Okay, deception by itself is not actual harm under the statute. Here, under Drake's own telling, the injuries he suffered are contingent on other streaming platforms or consumers being deceived, which means that they are indirect and thus not compensable under Section 349. The amended complaint should be dismissed without prejudice. Now, there's something I missed up here, and I'm sure y'all were probably yelling in the comments. But this piece here, Drake contends that the decision not to include the word PDFs as used in the phrase certified PDFs in Lamar's Super Bowl performance could only reflect that the language is defamatory. But this ignores any number of other explanations for the decision, such as threats by Drake of additional meritless litigation. In simple terms, they're saying, and this is referring to Kendrick Lamar's performance of Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. They're saying Drake is contending that Kendrick understood that it was not to be defamatory language. The NFL admonished him, told him not to say certified PDFs on TV, right? Like it was just purely up to them. But what they're saying is that Drake actually threatened additional meritless litigation, as in he threatened to sue the NFL if they allowed Kendrick to say that particular line in totality on television. I highly doubt that he would have anyway. Even if you see Kendrick perform this song in concert all across the nation right now, a lot of times when he gets to that line, he lets the crowd say it. He don't even say it himself. But I find it very interesting that they mention he threatened to sue the NFL in, summary terms. They didn't say it outright. Additional meritless litigation threats. But that just goes to show your homeboy has been very active with sending out paperwork for the last year. But you supposed to be this unbothered rap star. Nothing's getting under your skin. You're living your best life. You're going out and touring in Australia, New Zealand. What's up, Auckland? Much love to all y'all too. Not trying to make y'all, out to be anything bad. But behind the scenes, when you get home at night, you're sending out threats of suing other motherfuckers in the industry. You've been sending out more paperwork than the goddamn New York Times, ain't it? Shit, boy. It's not a good look, man. You need a papermate contract, all this paperwork you sending out. Signing off on. You need paper, pens, colored pencils. They might even get you your own crayon pack, Drake. But let me stop before I end up getting cited somewhere in this next, because they got a whole year of this shit ahead of them. Let me stop before they try to put my name and face in that motherfucker somewhere. I'm not important enough. Please leave me alone. I tell you what, though, man, this shit is nothing short of ridiculous. We just dedicated an hour going through UMG's response legally, filing their motion to dismiss. I honestly don't think that the judge is going to dismiss it. If they do, Judge Vargas, that will be a big surprise to me. It will be a cool relief to me, to where we don't have to read so much of this. But I personally think it's going to go the distance, which is well into 2026 with a trial and everything. I think they're saying that it'll be like a 3-week trial or something like that. But, yeah, man, gonna see how this moves forward. Drake is gonna have 3 weeks to respond back to this. Basically to plead his case as to why it should move forward rather than be dismissed. So I'm not gonna be surprised if he takes the entire 3 weeks. I think it's May 31st, if I'm not mistaken, that he has to get it in. We'll reconvene when that paperwork is filed. They've been taking till the very last minute at the end of the night to get this stuff sent in. I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to keep that trend going. But y'all, let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Do you feel like this was strong enough from UMG? Do you feel like UMG should have gone harder? I know that they have, you know, different exhibits and stuff like that. That's going to take extra time out of my night that I don't have. But maybe I'll do another video going through their exhibits specifically. You know what I'm saying? As we continue on. If y'all would like to have a specific video for the exhibits, just let me know in the chat and in the comments, and we'll double back. You know what I'm saying? But once again, let me know what y'all think of this. Even if you're Team Drake, give me a convincing argument as to why you support Drake in this, and don't give me no stale ass you know, wrapped up tea that you've been serving up for the last 6 to 8 months. Give me a real original explanation as to why you think his lawsuit has validity to it. And maybe we'll interact with you in the comments too. All right. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be good out there. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. But drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. When I catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.